They are spiraling. I mean, truly losing their composure. This is not the mild form of social awkwardness where someone just pivots to a new topic and carries on. I am referring to the kind of agitation where folks suddenly fall silent in a marked manner where you observe them, scanning you differently, where they pull others aside to engage in hushed dialogues they would never initiate in your presence. And what is remarkable, what is completely astonishing is that the source of their agitation is you. It is not because of a misstep, nor some blunder you committed. What is rattling them is the realization that you were accurate. You are correct about everything. You are accurate by 100%. And currently they are witnessing it with their own eyes, and it is paralyzing them. And I need you to pause and reflect on that for a moment, because this is the threshold you have been anticipating without even realizing it. Every observation you made, every sensation you felt, you experienced it whenever you voiced something, and others regarded you as if you were acting histrionic or losing your mind. The reality is manifesting right now, and it is unsettling, yes. And the people in your sphere are beginning to sense the foundation shifting beneath them. Keep following my lead. Keep following my lead here, because I am going to explain exactly what is occurring and why it holds more significance than you realize. You have been perceiving things for a considerable time. Clears throat not in some vague or ethereal capacity. I mean, you literally observe things. You enter a space and you interpret it like a meteorological pattern. You can detect who is harboring suppressed anxiety they have yet to label. You can sense when a person's grin is a fabrication rather than genuine. You can perceive what a person is actually communicating beneath the specific words they are selecting aloud. And for years, for quite some time, those around you dealt with this by doing one specific action. They minimized it. They labeled you as oversensitive. They called you overly dramatic. They claimed you were overanalyzing situations, being delusional, or acting paranoid. And some of them, the ones who were a bit more aggressive, assigned you a label worse than that, something worse. They conditioned you to believe that your perception was the issue rather than the reality you were witnessing, like your clarity was actually a character defect, like having such keen insight was somehow something to be ashamed of. And here is the reality regarding that. Here is the truth that remained unspoken, yet you felt it deep within you. The individuals who invested the most effort into persuading you that you were mistaken were almost always the very people you were accurate about. Consider that. I will conclude this point here. When someone is truly engaging in behavior that is unremarkable, they do not need to exert such intense effort into convincing you that you are losing your mind. That intensity, that particular guardedness, that is meaningful data. And you sensed it, you understood it, but you lacked sufficient internal or external reinforcement to stand firmly in your truth. So you did what many observant people learn to do. You retreated. You kept your observations to yourself. You quit stating things aloud, not because you ceased seeing. No, your vision never faltered, not because the price of speaking your truth felt excessive. And the isolation of being right in secret felt at least more manageable than being right in the open and being penalized for it. I want to provide you with something truly tangible here because I believe you need to experience exactly what I am describing. Let me illustrate this scenario. You are in a group environment. It could be professional, domestic, or social. Someone is speaking with confidence, smoothly, saying all the expected things, and those around you are nodding, chuckling at the appropriate intervals, absorbing it all. And you are sitting there feeling this weight in your chest, this low-level unease, because you are observing the words while also observing the energy, and they do not align. The words are warm, but the underlying energy is frigid and calculating. The smile reaches the face before it reaches the eyes. The empathy sounds sincere, but carries this nearly imperceptible aftertaste of performance. You scan the room to see if anyone else is catching this, and no one is. They are just there nodding along completely, and you experience this wave of something that is not quite isolation and not quite annoyance, but it lingers somewhere between the two because you understand what you are seeing. You understand it in your body. Your body knows first, but there is nobody to voice it to. Nobody. So you archive it. You add it to the extensive internal log that you have been compiling for years. This private chronicle of events you observe that no one else appeared to detect. And then what occurs? What inevitably occurs? Time passes. The disguise falls away. The thing you detected begins to manifest in ways that others can finally recognize. And suddenly people are astonished, even shocked, holding discussions as if it surfaced out of thin air. This is fresh information, and you are sitting there reflecting. I knew this, I stated this, I foresaw this coming from miles away, and I remained silent because no one was prepared to hear it. And currently everyone is behaving as if this is a revelation. That void, the distance between when you knew and when everyone else caught up, that is the existence you have been inhabiting your whole life. And it is taxing. Yes, it is truly taxing in a way that is incredibly challenging to articulate to individuals who do not undergo it, because from the exterior, it might seem like nothing. It appears as though you are just navigating your daily routine, but internally you are bearing this persistent low-level weight of unverified truth of understanding, without being acknowledged, of possessing a clarity that feels like a gift and a burden at the same time. This is where it grows intriguing. This is where circumstances are actually transforming, because something is occurring at this moment that has not quite happened previously. The divide is narrowing. The factors you have been quietly tracking are becoming undeniable to individuals who had every reason to disregard them, and their response is not merely, "Oh wow, you were right." The response is something closer to vertigo. Something more like an individual who has been sustaining a specific narrative regarding how the world functions. And that narrative is fracturing. And the fracture is shaped exactly like you. Yes, like your interpretation, like the insight you attempted to share and they rejected. And that destabilization is manifesting as something that looks a lot like spiraling, because that is exactly what it is. There is this distinct form of silence that individuals enter when they realize they were mistaken about someone who was attempting to warn them. You have likely detected it over the last few weeks. People behaving cautiously around you, people selecting their vocabulary differently, people who used to disregard you very easily, now being strangely unusually precise as if they have detected something, and they are attempting to discern how to engage with you in light of it. Perhaps someone shared something with you recently, something minor, something almost casual that was actually a confirmation, not a massive dramatic apology, because people rarely offer those, but a quiet understated "you were correct about that," or "I should have listened," or "I keep reflecting on what you said" moment. Those moments are resonating differently now, because there are enough of them that they are forming a sequence, and the sequence is evident. People are recalibrating in your presence, and while that is occurring externally, something else is happening to you internally, and I want to identify it, because I believe it is significant. When you have spent a long time having your perception challenged, it does something to you. It fosters this tendency to second guess yourself even when your intuition is screaming. You become highly skilled at internal debate, convincing yourself against what you know, regulating the intensity of your own clarity, pre-editing your observations before they even escape your lips, because you have already envisioned this response. You become an individual who understands a great deal, but expresses perhaps only a fraction of it. And that compression, that persistent restraint, takes a genuine toll, not in a dramatic fashion, but in a quiet way, the kind of way that accumulates over years until you cannot quite recall what it felt like to simply express what you observe without bracing for the aftermath. And here is the reality that is accurate right now in this moment. The external validation you have been anticipating, the confirmation that you were not insane, that you were not dramatic, that you were just observing, that what you were observing was accurate, was real. It is arriving, not all at once, not in the shape of a grand public admission, but in this series of minor undeniable instances where reality is aligning with your interpretation of it so completely that the people around you literally cannot rationalize it away anymore. They attempted the coincidence theory. They attempted the lucky guess theory. They attempted the you are just perceptive theory, which sounds like a compliment, but which they were actually using as a minimization, like, yes, you are observant, but that is just a personality quirk. It does not mean what you think it means. And all those theories are failing because the sequence is too consistent, because you have been right too many times about too many specific things for it to be noise, and now they are sitting with that. And it is profoundly uncomfortable for them. And here is the reason. When you realize that someone has been observing something clearly that you have been refusing to acknowledge, it does not only inform you about them, it informs you about yourself. It informs you about the ways you were committed to a particular version of reality, about the occurrences you did not want to be accurate. So you manufactured the evidence that they were about the moments where the simpler path was to dismiss the person with the clear vision rather than address what those clear eyes were reflecting back at you. And that kind of internal reckoning is uncomfortable in a very specific way. It carries this sting of remorse, this realization of what it cost you in time, in trust, in decisions you made based on a reality you know now you have to admit was incomplete. And for the individual who has been standing there this entire time with the accurate picture, there is something almost unbearable about regarding them clearly now. Because regarding them clearly means admitting that you chose not to. Regarding them clearly before you are confused. That is what lies beneath their spiraling. It is not just while they were correct. It is the stinging realization of the nature of what that signifies. And some individuals traverse that with grace. They go silent, they reflect, they return with more genuine receptivity. And some individuals respond to that kind of unease by behaving strangely. Yes, by becoming aloof. By finding new reasons to be skeptical of you because it is simpler. Yes, it is simpler than sitting with the former skepticism and what it cost them. You might be encountering both of those varieties right now. Individuals who are moving towards you with increased respect, more genuine curiosity, more authentic, tell me more energy, and individuals who are withdrawing in a way that carries this peculiar cold quality to it. That is also, in its own way, a confirmation, because you do not need to create distance from someone who never threatened your worldview. Let me address your timing for a moment, because this is something the people around you have definitely detected, even if they have never labeled it directly. You possess this trait, and I do not think you are always aware of it, where you seem to arrive exactly when something significant is about to occur or depart, exactly before something goes wrong, or articulate the one thing that someone needed to hear in the precise moment they needed to hear it. It appears like fortune from the exterior, but it is not. It is that your nervous system is calibrated to detect data that other people's nervous systems filter out. You feel the shift in energy before the shift becomes visible. You sense the alteration of temperature before the thermostat adjusts. You read the microsignals, the minor hesitations, the subtle alterations in tone, the thing that is consistently absent from a dialogue that should contain it. And your body responds to that information by positioning you accordingly. And people have been watching this occur for a while. and they have been interpreting it as luck because that was the explanation. They did not require that. It did not require them to expand their understanding of how you function, but you have done it too many times now. It stopped appearing like luck, and the people paying enough attention are starting to ask questions they do not quite have the vocabulary for yet. And there are individuals, perhaps specific individuals you are thinking of right now, who went out of their way to make you feel small for observing what you observe, who did not just passively dismiss you, but actively worked to undermine your confidence in your own perception, who required you to be mistaken because if you were accurate, certain things became untenable. Yes, and those specific individuals are having the hardest time right now because the thing they attempted to suppress is surfacing. Anyway, truth has this quality where it does not actually require anyone's consent to exist. It just keeps accumulating evidence until the weight of it becomes undeniable. Yes, truth. And for those individuals who invested genuine energy in the denial, their undeniability is impacting them particularly hard. You might not observe it directly. They might not approach you, but it is occurring. People who labeled you paranoid are now observing exactly what you were observing and not knowing how to handle it. People who told you you were too sensitive are now experiencing the thing you attempted to inform them was present, and they do not have the years of quiet practice that you possess. They are experiencing it raw, without the framework, without the long internal relationship with this kind of knowing, and it is disorienting them in a real way. It is unfortunate. Here is what I desire to convey to you regarding all of this, and I desire to convey it clearly because I believe you need to hear it in plain vocabulary, without any dilution. You are not dramatic. You are not paranoid. You are not too much or too intense or too whatever explanation individuals utilize to create distance from what you were offering. You were accurate. You were observing something real with unusual clarity. And the reality that other individuals were not prepared to observe it did not make it less real. Their inability to verify it did not mean it was not present. Their unease with your clarity was their issue to navigate, not proof that your clarity was an issue. And every single time you doubted yourself because someone made you feel like your perception was a liability, that doubt was mistaken. Not sometimes mistaken every single time. The version of you that learned to quiet down, to pre-edit, to question your own interpretation of events before giving voice to it. That version developed those habits for understandable reasons. It was a reasonable response to an unreasonable environment. Sorry, but those habits are no longer serving you, because what is occurring right now, this moment of undeniable, visible confirmation, is the universe posing a very direct question to you. And the question is, now that you can observe that you are accurate, are you going to grant yourself permission? Are you going to grant yourself permission to trust yourself moving forward? Not the moderated, pre-filtered, socially negotiated version of your perception. The actual thing, the real uncomfortable, sometimes frequently inconvenient clarity that you carry in your body every single day. Because that clarity, that thing that individuals have spent years attempting to make you feel strange about, it is not an issue. It is not an issue. It is not a malfunction. It is the most valuable attribute you possess. It is literally the thing that enables you to navigate situations that other individuals walk into blind. It is the thing that has protected you and the individuals you love more times than you will ever have full external verification of. And it is also right now the thing that is quietly waking up the individuals around you. Not because you are performing it or pushing it, but because truth has a frequency. Yes, and when it is consistent enough and close enough, individuals start to experience it even when they are actively not seeking it. And once they experience it, they cannot quite unfill it. Yes, and that is what you are observing occur. That is the spiraling. Yes. That is the being terrified of your truth. That is the finally observing what you have been observing.